I've driven millions on Amazon for hundreds of brands, from scrappy startups to retail giants. Maybe some of the brands you even recognize, but I gotta say that no products have been more profitable than OTC supplement sales. That's over-the-counter supplement sales. Like Dan and Louise, who grew their supplement line to $25 million a year on Amazon, or Brian Ayers, already had a thriving 7-figure supplement brand, but reached out to me after seeing no sales on Amazon. And we made the moves that I'm about to show you, and weeks later, Brian said, "I've never seen double hockey stick growth before," and that's Brian showing us what double hockey stick growth looks like on our Zoom call. And of course, there's Reliable Labs, which saw a 6.8x lift followed by a 10,000% surge. And this was after what I'm about to show you. Each of these and dozens more now enjoy steady, compounding OTC sales on Amazon. But let me confess, none of this was a straight line. So I'm going to walk you through my simple 5-step OTC growth system that I use right now to help brands break through Amazon's compliance walls and scale profitably without wasting time, money, or tons of staff energy. I'm Sean Farrington, founder of Ecom Optimization, and I put together a free companion guide called the Amazon OTC Playbook. It breaks down all 5 steps, but it also includes bonuses and checklists and links to everything that you need. It's 100% free. Just hit the link in the description and grab it. Because when I first started selling on Amazon back in 2015, I thought I had it all figured out. I was already making steady sales in multiple home and toy brands. But 2 years later, I confidently agreed to help launch an OTC brand onto Amazon, and I got absolutely body slammed by Amazon's compliance system. There is a straight path forward through all of this, but at that time, I didn't really understand it at all. And so I kind of want to break down a lot of this because I don't want you to have to suffer that same fate that I did when I first started out, because it took a few years and many attempts before I finally cracked the code. And now I really kind of see those barriers for what they are. They're actually what I consider to be blessings in disguise. When you learn how to work the Amazon system in the right way, this can be profitable, and you can avoid the nastiness that's down here. Because once I learned to navigate Amazon's OTC over-the-counter maze, I found that you enter a rather profitable and peaceful place where you can get sort of predictable and peaceful sales on the world's largest marketplace. And Amazon, 70 million shoppers going to be on that marketplace today. So whether you're a small startup or an 8-figure OTC brand ready to make Amazon finally work for you, and you don't want to waste months on Amazon support tickets and failed launches or staff burnout, this video and that companion guide, they're going to help you really fast track everything so that you can avoid the way that I did it back in the day and really focus on the growth curve that I know today. I didn't know back then, honestly. But I'm going to go through each of these 5 steps and take you through all of those one by one, because what we're looking at here, the reason that Dan, Louise, Bill, Brian, Reliable One all succeeded isn't luck. It's actually structure. Over my decade on Amazon, I've discovered that very profitable OTC brands follow pretty much the same structure over and over. And it's this idea of going from alignment, which I'm going to cover in depth what that means. There's my awesome arrow on this circle. Then going to attracting, learning how to attract the right shoppers on Amazon. And then from that is going to ascend and then alignment. And this really doesn't stop because especially with OTC, this is different from home goods and all of those other products that you would sell on Amazon. OTC, this component right here, this align, is heavier because Amazon's marketplace is about the shopper. Everyone thinks it should be more seller focused. It's not. It's just not. On Amazon, you're a second-rate citizen. It's just something you got to get used to. But once you learn how to align yourself with what Amazon wants, you can actually start to attract and then ascend and all of that kind of stuff on Amazon. In the case of OTC, this alignment section right here becomes even more critical than normal. So you'll always be coming back around this. So as you learn to attract the right shoppers onto your listing and you learn to ascend, scale, maybe another way to talk about that, you're going to come back and circle back around and do this alignment over and over again. So once you kind of get this going, though, it's not as bad as it is just getting started. And it's a bit of a flywheel. I call it the Amazon OTC success flywheel. And these aren't just words or phrases or anything like that. They're the best way that I've found to really move ahead on Amazon and keep your sales growing in a way that's profitable, in a way that can really work for you. Because before you can sell well on Amazon, especially with this component, the align, that means locking into compliance. It means avoiding the hidden traps that Amazon's going to put your way, will wipe out most OTC brands on Amazon. I've just seen so many that kind of got started. They dipped their toe in the water and they thought it was excruciating. Maybe it felt like unwelcoming, but it actually stopped them from progressing. So if you know how to do that, once you get past that align, you can work on this attract phase. And when it comes to over-the-counter products, this is a category built on trust. So we got to make sure that we're really working on trust inside of Amazon and its own system. You're really looking at your visuals and your copy. Not just do they look good, but that they actually feel credible. Are they credible to Amazon? Are they in alignment with Amazon? We'll cover how to stand out, get seen, and convert browsing traffic into loyal buyers, all while staying fully Amazon compliant. And then ascend. This comes the fun part. This is scaling. Once your listings start converting, then you'll learn how to extend momentum out across Amazon's ecosystem, from brand stores to sponsor video, and even how to use your Amazon growth to boost sales off of Amazon. Every one of these 5 steps tie back into this flywheel. So be thinking about this flywheel and this momentum of align, attract, ascend, align, attract, ascend. And then if you do that, you don't just survive on Amazon's hurdles. You actually dominate Amazon's hurdles, and the hurdles actually become a barrier to entry because other people don't know how to navigate around them, and then they just don't even come on Amazon or try. So for you, what I would honestly just say, go ahead and copy the exact system that has already worked for other OTC brands like Reliable Ones, Cryo Concepts, to launch and scale and then dominate in the category. We'll start with this first one, is we've got to find a way on Amazon to get past the gatekeepers. And that's really get approval and get approval fast in a way that causes you the least amount of heartache, because that was basically Bill's story. Bill came to me frustrated. He had worked with retail giants, stared them down and won, and negotiated contracts with Rite Aid and wrangled Walmart's buyers and won. But Amazon kind of knocked Bill flat. Their all-star crew of designers and account reps, even their lawyer turned CEO, did everything by the book. They built a solid listing, even uploaded proven images and hit publish, and got slapped by a compliance flag, killing all sales potential. And that's the gut punch that most OTC brands feel when they first step into the Amazon arena. Not because they're doing anything wrong, but because Amazon plays a completely different game by a completely different rule book. And here's the twist. Amazon gatekeepers aren't trying to kill your listing. They're protecting the platform. So the secret is really knowing how to speak Amazon's language. So what we're really going to focus on over here is having some stuff set up, squared away before going live. Your NDC numbers, your FDA monograph proof, your COA documentation, things like that. The labs, all of that documentation aligned perfectly to go onto Amazon in just the right time. So for brands like Reliable One Labs and Bill Hinchy's wart treatment, getting this part right here shaved off months of back and forth with Amazon seller support, all because they built their foundation before the listing was ever created. That means that the flat file was set up correctly. Their certificates were uploaded. That secondary documentation, ingredient statements, packaging, proof, all that kind of stuff, all the claim support was all pre-approved and ready to go. And that's really the difference between being stuck in compliance purgatory or going live in record time. And when you do it right, Amazon's gatekeepers don't feel like enemies. Now, I've already told you this, but there's a complete checklist inside of this and including get past the gatekeeper's checklist. And each item on this checklist that's inside of this had Cryo Concepts up and selling in days instead of months. It was foundational to their launch. We talked about blowing past forecasts, but what we didn't say is that actually turned out to be for Cryo $68,000 in sales in 28 days from zero to $68,000 in 28 days, just a little under 28 days actually. And then it didn't really stop from there, because I think some people have some misconceptions about how OTC would work on Amazon. Maybe you understand that, like, oh, okay, I can get up and running, I can get sales, and Sean's already shown that this can happen with many brands already. But maybe you're thinking that it's really hard to sell there. So when I first started selling OTC on Amazon, I did what every overconfident marketer does. I came in swinging for the fences. Big, bold claims, persuasive copy that could have sold ice to a polar bear, all that kind of stuff. And within days, I was flagged by Amazon. I was in compliance purgatory faster than I could say heels dry skin. That's when I learned a painful truth. Amazon isn't impressed by clever over-the-counter marketing. It's terrified of it. And after a few bruising takedowns, I had to evolve. I learned that selling OTC products on Amazon is like walking a tightrope over shark-infested waters. You can't lean too far towards hype, but you also can't play it safe and then bore your shoppers to death either. So we need to be selling to humans, people who scroll, shop, and click based on emotion. But to reach the humans, we still have to pass the cold, unblinking scrutiny of Amazon's bot, that algorithm. So what we want to really do is start with very practical things, probably the most critical and basic things on Amazon. It sounds basic, but it really, when it comes to OTC products, it's not. Things like your title, things like your bullets as well too. And listen, these aren't just keyword containers. They're compliance traps waiting to spring. So your monograph or your COA must speak to claims, any claims that's made in there. So that's why we're talking about having all this stuff squared away in advance. So obviously, instead of saying things like heals or treats or cures, we use language that helps reduce those kind of claims. So supports relief or promotes healthy recovery, anything like that. I mean, that's the basics, but it's also, when done right, the difference between your listing ranking or getting yanked. And Amazon's bots automatically crawl the listing, the title, and those bullets, and they're looking for high-risk medical terms that could get Amazon sued. So that's why the safest and smartest path is to mirror FDA-compliant phrasing in your copy and packaging disclaimers. But again, let me say this. Regulated doesn't need to be boring. It doesn't have to mean boring stuff. So we're talking about titles. You can still be persuasive. You can still be engaging with your titles. Like for the Source Glow Bites, working up something like chocolate morsels makes it sound yummy rather than just something to do with a supplement that really no one cares about. Your title is your SEO prime real estate on Amazon, if you will. It's the space that the algorithm's going to go look and say, hey, what is this product? But you're also still speaking to humans. That's why pulling out parentheticals like this. So we could say 30 chocolate pieces, but morsels sounds better. And pieces gave us no SEO value whatsoever. So chocolate morsels, and you can still speak persuasively even in a title, because the title, while it is for the robots, is also for the humans as well too. Humans are actually going to read that. And then your bullets, which on an Amazon listing, you're probably familiar with this design. You've got your image stack, then the images, and you've got a title, which was this, and then you got bullets. So you can still be persuasive in your bullets. So like we did for this collagen powder. So it's collagen powder, but we found it was from Brazil. Brazil is obviously, known for its beauty in multiple ways. So what we just did is tag that in, Brazilian collagen powder for anti-aging. Fairly straightforward claims, but we're putting the pain right up at the front. We put in the reverse the symptoms of aging. So we're poking at that pain right at the gate. We're still saying it in FDA compliant ways, helps, right? And then they also say it helps them enjoy. These are claims from actual shoppers from customers. Customers say it helps them enjoy skin that glows, nails that grow, and hair that gets compliments. So we can talk about skin that glows. It's not really an easily definable thing from FDA standards anyways, but people know what it means. Humans know what this means. And this wasn't made up. This was wording taken from shoppers and what they were actually concerned about. They wanted nails that grow and hair that gets compliments. It wasn't talking about specific technical things that happens to hair. What humans actually care about, what the women who purchased this product actually cared about are hair, but their hair getting compliments. That's an ego boost. That's a transformation from where they are with hair that's not getting compliments to where they want to be. And what I mean by this is you can still be persuasive. In fact, you must be compelling to break through the noise on Amazon. You just need to ground your claims in proof instead of puffery. And to back it up, we show testing. We mention clinical data. We use visual trust signals and seals of approval, dosage clarity, all of those kind of things. Here's what I've found. When I blend this human-first storytelling with regulation-friendly copy and design, I'm building listings that sell hard and stay alive. And once I mastered that balance, it took me a few years, but once I mastered it, Amazon stopped feeling like a battlefield and started feeling like home turf. When we got this right for Skin Clinic, we had that $68,000 a day jump, working on the bullets, working on the image design, especially that premium A+ content, $0 to $68,000 in 28 days. But then it made a nice steady climb to $240,000 plus a month, and it's still going today. And it did that in weeks instead of years. So conversion and compliance is what we worked about. We want to look at that FDA compliant phrasing in a way that really is still persuasive. We want to be able to do that. But then what we can do is also start to use that to build up trust. And this becomes critical because when David from Reliable Labs came to me, he actually had one of the most trustworthy products on the planet. It wasn't like they were lacking in trust. They had beryllium, which is a product that's been around for 115 years. It was actually prescribed by doctors. So they were bringing trust to the platform. They had a head start. I mean, you just look at the pedigree on this that's been around. Success at Walgreens and CVS for decades. And plus, David had a dream team that he had assembled of Madison Avenue designers, retail copywriters, glossy packaging that all screamed credibility in the pharmacy aisle. But the moment they stepped onto Amazon, crickets. And that was a problem because they had some great supplements that also needed to be launched onto Amazon, like this liquid vitamin C for kids. What an amazing supplement that is. And then also the liquid multivitamin as well, too, for adults. Regardless how well they charmed retail buyers, they fell flat in Amazon's digital jungle. Amazon shoppers just weren't reacting, and no one could figure out why. So we started a shift that was focused not so much on ad spend or anything like that. We were focused on rebuilding all of their images. And first came the test, and tests like we're really doing started to get lifts, 6.8x lift in sales. And then encouraged, we kept optimizing and tweaking angles and contrast and clarity. And I'm going to show you what I mean here in just a second. But after just a few rounds of testing, that modest lift turned into a jaw-dropping 10,000% return. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen that before, but that's some pretty credible percentages there. So the only new struggle was keeping up with the stock and keeping that on hand to meet the new demands. But let's be clear, this is the same product, the same price, just new visuals with the proper sales positioning. And here's the type of images that I'm talking about. We start showing the benefits of the product right immediately. So we're talking age appropriate, models that we're using, which is something most people don't do amazingly. We're showing the ease of use and product in use in ways that actually make sense. Hitting those pain points, appetite and recovery help, even putting some of that copy down here right on the images. So Once we get the copy figured out, that what it needs to say, we just go ahead and double down and put it right onto the images. We found that that really works well. 63% of the sales on an Amazon listing happen right in that image stack, right from the get-go. So we want to make sure that we've got that covered. The other thing is we're really talking about very specific things. So when we're talking about what are the pain points for these shoppers, you know, we said it right here, hair, lashes, and nails, and we called it out. Now, one of the things you're going to notice is we focused on the person with the hair and the lashes and all that kind of stuff, and putting things, just even silly things like these thighs being out of focus. You know, so the focus is all drawn there. The eyes are drawn to the one that has the beautiful hair, the eyes and nails and all of that kind of stuff. Talking truth, doctor approved. The person that ran this happened to be a doctor, so they could say doctor approved. It was a claim that can be made. And just showing the really simple proof of, you know, obviously the person wearing the lab coat is a doctor. You need to get this right because shoppers decide in less than 2 seconds whether your product looks safe or legitimate or any of things, or even worth their money. And if your visuals feel off, even slightly, they'll scroll right past you no matter how stellar your reviews are. So when I'm talking off, I'm talking like I'm seeing some people using AI stuff that the mind knows. The mind knows when something's off. They don't even have to think it consciously. They think it subconsciously. Something's off. I'm feeling weird. I'm out of here, right? So you really, but clean, bright, emotionally inspired visual. Then you can go the extra step and do dosage clarity and clinical style layouts that whisper, this product works and it's safe. The bridge. So we're talking about all these images listing with that main image, get them clicking, support all of that stuff over here. When the second image starts speaking to them, do claim support inside the bullets and make sure you're hitting all of that. And then, you know, A+ content's a big one too. So for supplements like, you know, the beach content, this is kind of showing you an A+ content design, a premium A+ content design. So you can do cool things like you can stack two of these. These are actually two separate images, just sliced in half here. You can put two modules together and get really huge value propositions at the top. Speak to what they're avoiding the caffeine, jitters, all of that kind of stuff. It's never been easier to keep your healthy lifestyle, products in use, showing the ease of use with the products, natural cherry flavor, and hitting the branding so the cherry all feels like cherry, and just all this stuff working together in a that you use your A+ content, your premium A+ content as a content bridge. Education and persuasion working together, showing those results sort of indirect, clean iconography right here. Just keeping it nice and simple that people can understand. That includes the copy over here as well too. Making sure those easy to read bullets. People love those because those stand out to the eye as they're going along. These visual cues help to reduce perceived risk, making the product kind of come alive and shoppers feel smart and secure in their decision. And remember that inside of OTC products, Amazon actually forbids before and after photography or before and after design. Like before I took this, I was jaundiced and all this kind of stuff, but afterwards I'm doing really well and I'm healthy and vibrant. They forbid that in your image design. So you can't even put that kind of stuff here, whereas you can do it out in pretty much every other category on Amazon, and you really should. But you can bypass all of that with UGC, user-generated content, doing this kind of before and after design. You can have users do it. You can put it into reviews, have their user content put into reviews. This is actually user-generated content for an OTC hair brand. And one of the UGC creators just created this on her own and then got us a before and after that we could then list. And because it wasn't us saying it was someone saying it and just showing it in there. So UGC content looks really well for slipping around a lot of those before and after requirements. Again, there's a whole checklist right here inside the OTC launch playbook. You just go down and follow the checklist step by step by step, and you're headed in the right direction without much hassle. So that's free. Go ahead and make sure you grab that. What we want to focus on next, and this is your Amazon launch, because for Brian Ayers, he was the founder of Ayers Naturals. This guy had built a company from scratch, and it was powered by grit, consistency, and a YouTube channel that actually dominated his niche. So he knew how to sell his products. But when Brian brought that same grit and determination to Amazon, it was crickets. I mean, his listings looked good. Their product was rock solid, but the sales flatlined. Then weeks went by and the silence became deafening. That's when he found us and confessed during our first conversation together. We've done everything we can, but it's like Amazon doesn't even know we exist. So we took a deep dive into his setups, and here's what I saw. First, their listing was fine. Their product was good, but they had missed one critical component, which is their launch window, saying in the first 90 days, there's a launch window that happens on Amazon. Some people call it the Amazon honeymoon period. If you kind of miss that, you're missing a lot of momentum that you could have. So we can rebuild their launch. You can actually do that. You don't have to, if like it failed and it didn't work, you can actually rebuild a launch. And we did it from the ground up and dialed in their sales. Looking at velocity, we rewrote their listing to boost conversion rates and took advantage of their external traffic because he had traffic coming in from YouTube. So we wanted to take that, condition it, change it so it looked valuable to Amazon's algorithm. And Amazon actually has tools that makes that super valuable. So you can take those, and then Amazon actually gives credit for it and actually gives you money for any traffic you send in from your own platform. So if you're already doing social media of any kind and you've got even decent traffic, that's something you have available to you. But after really doing this right and really focusing on that first 90 days and getting that set up right, Brian said, hey, I've never experienced that double hockey stick growth before. It was a shock to him how that was even possible. And then within months, 3 months exactly, Amazon had grown from a dead channel to 48% of Ayers Natural's global multi-million-dollar sales. And when that clicked for Brian, Amazon wasn't just a marketplace, something, it was a momentum machine for his business. And here's kind of what Brian learned the hard way and what I guess every OTC brand needs to know before launch. These first 90 days are really a make or break for brands on Amazon. That short honeymoon period determines how Amazon's algorithm treats you for the rest of your product's life. If you move fast, the system's going to reward you with visibility, sales velocity, and just basically putting you out there for free and free traffic. But if you stall, Amazon quietly closes that door, and it's almost impossible to reopen without a relaunch, which is what we did for him. So Amazon watches these three signals like a hawk: sales velocity, conversion rate, and then also customer feedback. You know, when those signals align, the algorithm gives you the traffic and the attention that you deserve. So if we don't get this right, we could sink into digital oblivion. But there's an OTC twist, an over-the-counter twist. Unlike other Amazon categories, say like home goods, you can't brute force your way to the top with aggressive discounts or mass review blitzes. You have to build, we need velocity with validation. And this means steady, believable sales in a nice, steady way that are backed by social proof, the compliant reviews, credible pricing. So you're going to want to start with a controlled launch. Modest coupon stacking, gentle external traffic from warm audiences, and review requests that follow Amazon's rules to the letter. So a smooth Amazon launch feels calm, predictable, and almost boring at times, which is precisely how Amazon loves it for OTC. Now again, other products, automotive, home goods, backyard barbecue, anything, clothing, it doesn't care. OTC is this different, and it does care. So you're not just going to be chasing numbers, you're going to be building trust with both your algorithm and your audience. For you, once you launch, you're only halfway there. And we really need to be thinking about that because is part of how Dan and Luis actually had already done what most founders wanted to do. I mean, and they had the OTC founders' dream. They had cracked their first $1 million in Amazon sales. Their OTC brand was ranking, their ads were running, and the reviews looked solid. Dan and Luis thought that their Amazon journey was complete. But with OTC on Amazon, hitting your first million is not really the finish line. It's kind of like the starting point. Amazon. And over the years, I found that Amazon is consistently watching three signals over and over again: our reviews, your conversion rate, and your click-through rate. And those three metrics form a feedback loop for Amazon that either fuels your flywheel or slowly grinds everything to a stop. And that's when a new game plan has to really be put into place. And that's what we did with Dan and Luis. The focus is really about start testing new stuff with moves like this: new sponsored video hooks, fresh bullet heads, swap bullet phrasing. So just changing out what's already on the bullets and testing. Amazon now allows multivariate testing. That means you can test not just the main image, but you can test the main image, the titles, and the bullets and all that kind of stuff, depending on category, what category to use. So you can test all of these things. But listen, even if the multivariate testing doesn't work for you, or you're not yet in brand registry to make that kind of stuff available, you can still test it manually. And I would suggest that. Put them some new bullets, run it until you have some data going through it, meaning shoppers and buyers. See if your conversion rates go up. See if any of these things change, any of these metrics. Do you get more reviews? Do you get a higher conversion rate? Do you get more click-through when you put in a main image, when you kind of do persuasion-focused main images? When you put in new targets, do you get more traffic onto your listing? The whole idea is that we're going to stop managing and start evolving. This kind of change, really focused on these kind of moves, help Dan and Luis get to their $25 million mark on Amazon sales. And that's the flywheel. And so here's what I've found. Amazon's algorithm is like a living organism. It rewards activity, freshness, and proof that you're still alive and kicking. You're still actually out there doing stuff and working. So you're going to boost your review generation in the right way. Using Amazon's request a review tool to build trust, also inserts and all of that kind of stuff. You really want to be doing this right to get reviews onto your listing, because that's Amazon is really looking for. So then you're going to start testing in new images, main images, your image stack that are designed to stop the scroll and spike your click-through rate, improve your conversion rate. You're also going to test in different creative like videos on the listing for your conversion rate, and out there on ads as well too for click-through rate, and see what the click-through rate is on those. Because when Amazon sees these numbers go up, it's like, hey, something exciting is happening over here. Let's go ahead and see what shoppers are responding to. So we want to be able to test all of the new bullet copy aimed at increasing that unit session percentage, that single metric that tells Amazon that your listing converts. That's what the unit session percentage does. It's the conversion rate on Amazon. And then you really want to be pushing new video ads. And the way I really like to do this is to focus on videos with hooks. That opening hook, that first 1 to 3 seconds, is really critical to getting ads that work, that convert, that pull shoppers a little bit deeper into the ad and deeper into the ad. And it really is, like on Amazon, a large part of it is just earning the next 1 second. So I just need to get your attention first, something that stops the thumb scroll, stops the very passive shopping that goes on Amazon, and just get your attention 1 second. Then I have to earn the next second. And then if I get 3 seconds out of you, I have to earn the next 3 seconds. So it's like that opening hook, the first 3 seconds of that video, testing lots of those to see which one earns the next 3 seconds or the next 5 seconds, where they stay and listen to a little bit about the product and then their curiosity peaks. And I just want to get them then onto the listing. That's the next 3 seconds. I have about 3 to 5 seconds once they're on the listing to keep them there, to keep their attention engaged. If I don't do that, they're going to bounce. They're going to be out of there. And then your unit session percentage goes down, your conversion rates go percentage. Guess what Amazon does? Amazon says, hey, I don't even know if people like this listing anymore. They click there and then just go away. So they'll stop sending traffic to that listing because it's just not work. So you got to earn the next 3 seconds and the next 3 seconds. So really working on fresh hooks, fresh bullet heads, the phrasing itself, persuasion-focused images, and then the keywords to get the right people on the listing. Because you can actually do crazy work with ads, get tons of shoppers on your listing, but if they're not the right shoppers, they don't convert. Then Amazon looks at that and go like, hey, this listing's bad. It doesn't convert. They just don't convert for that keyword or for those certain keywords. So you want to be careful in sending the right shoppers to your listing, the ones that will ultimately convert. So this really has that. I think that's going to be your best move, just to be able to grab that The other thing is too, if you're really ready to see your OTC brand finally break through on Amazon, kind of like did for Dan and Louise, $25 million, I'm going to offer a free Amazon readiness session. It's going to go through all of this stuff, this align, attract, ascend for you, specifically what that means for your specific OTC product or your OTC brand, towards and giving you a path towards profitable Amazon sales. This isn't a sales pitch. This is literally working together. I truly believe that we reap what we sow. So I'm just going to give you value. I just want to sit down with you and give you the value off this. Here's what you're going to come away with. You'll leave with a clear roadmap that you'll be able to use for your first 90 days on Amazon to really make those count. A short, punchy checklist of what to fix, align, launch next. And so this goes beyond just the resource that I just showed you there. That's very generic for anything. This is going to be specific to you because it really does matter. Are you dealing with vitamins? Are we dealing with hair? Are we dealing with any of these kind of supplements you're talking about? Even topicals or anything like that are different in how you deal with this. And I really want to give you the confidence to move forward on Amazon, whether you do it yourself or have the team implement for you. And listen, you may be asking like why I do this. Part is I found on a few of these people, hey, I'd rather just have you and your team do this for me. So I just like to have the conversations. If that's what flows out of it, I'm completely good. If not, it's absolutely fine. I'm going to give you the resources. I'm going to give you the moves that I would make if your brand or my brand and what I would do on Amazon. And you can take that with you and just move. I'll just put a link in the comment and also in the description so you can just grab that session. The one thing I see too many beginners fail at is not having a clear roadmap and resources to move forward on Amazon. So that's why I created this video right here. It takes you step by step through the only Amazon guide that I believe you'll ever need. Click that video right there and I'll show you just how easy it all can be.